We're just going to talk about the AL Central as a whole. It's really, really tight there in the AL Central. The Kansas City Royals are tied with the Cleveland Guardians. The Minnesota Twins are right behind, and the Detroit Tigers have been playing some hot baseball lately. What do you think happens with the AL Central?
It pains me to say, and I'll be open about it. I'll be open saying that I want the Royals to win the division. Just from an underdog standpoint. Coming into the year, they had high expectations. They made some great trades, some great acquisitions. You look at a Seth Lugo, great to go with Cole Reagans there. Bobby Witt's been exceptional. Salvador Perez, you can build the statue already. He's already won a World Series for him. He's just an absolute beast of a backstop back there. But I want to get into the schedules going forward, because that's really what you got to look at here. Down the stretch, some teams are going to be playing for, we mentioned, for divisions and stuff like that. So looking at the Guardians coming up, this is why I think the Guardians will end up holding on. And they've collapsed. Stephen Kwan has been abysmal. Abysmal. This was a guy that was hitting around 360 near the All-Star break. He's now at under 300. I mean, he has been horrid at the plate. Absolutely disgusting in terms of what he brings to the table there. The Guardians, they go Pirates, Royals. So that's a big one to watch right there. A 3-game set in Kansas City. They go Dodgers, White Sox, Rays, Twins, Cardinals, Reds, Astros to end the year. And then you look over at the Royals side, and they have a kind of a gauntlet. They go right here in September. They got Astros, Guardians, we mentioned. Then they got the Twins at Yankees, Pirates, Tigers, Giants, Nationals, Braves. So that's kind of some hard teams there. You mix in the Yankees and Braves with a couple divisional opponents. Those are going to be what comes down. Those games are going to decide your fate in terms of that division. The Twins side, they're playing the Braves right now. They got the Blue Jays. Then they got the Rays, Royals, Angels, Reds, Guardians, Red Sox, Marlins, Orioles. So I think the Twins and the Guardians have a better setup in terms of who they have to play to end the year. But I think the Royals, I mean, they've impressed everybody with what they've been able to do. So if they take 2 out of 3 against a Yankee, if they take 2 out of 3 against the Guardians or Twins, I would not be surprised. I think right now we can really look at this team and not be surprised with anything they do.
Yeah, this is honestly such a toss-up. It's a dogfight atop the AL Central standings. But I still have hope in the Cleveland Guardians. They've been struggling lately. The Guards are 3-7 in the last 10 games. But they've also ran into some top-tier pitching since the All-Star break. And I believe in the core guys on that team that have postseason experience. Talking J. Ram, Josh Naylor, Andres Jimenez, Stephen Kwan. But can the pitching hold up? That's the question. That rotation, to me, is a little iffy. Who's the number one right now? Tanner Bibby? I mean, so the rotation is definitely a question mark. But what is certain is that bullpen in Cleveland. Emmanuel Clase, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith. That bullpen is going to have to keep up their dominance to put this team in the postseason and possibly claim an AL Central title. But the division will essentially come down to just get in. If you're a team in that division, just get in the playoffs. Let's look at the Texas Rangers from last year. They had a late year slump like Cleveland is having right now, and they were limping into the playoffs. They got hot at the exactly right time. They go in and win a World Series. So anything can happen as long as you get in to any of these AL Central teams.
That's a great point. And to piggyback off of that and looking at this Central Division, I think with the Guardians, it's kind of sad. I mean, obviously, they've still been a fantastic team this year and have exceeded all expectations coming into a year. But you remember the start Shane Bieber got off to in April? Like, he was shoving for like 3 starts, and then, Tommy John. And Tristan McKenzie was coming back from injury. He's almost lost it. Like, he's lost all of it. He's healthy, and he's pitching in AAA right now for Columbus. Yeah. So those are 2 guys that you were really counting on. And then the young guys, the Logan Allens, the Gavin Williams, they had enough there to where they can get there. But I think those guys are kind of seeing a second-year slump, and then it's kind of hard to piece together. I mean, heck, they had to sign Matthew Boyd, and give him a couple starts. So it's definitely problems right now for the Guardians in terms of what are they going to do come postseason play, because I don't think that rotation can win them a series. Even if they win the division, I mean, that was something when the last time they made the playoffs, they relied on it. They won that 1-0 18-inning game against the Rays to move on. and they struggled to score runs against the Yankees and the DS that year. I mean, it's just I worry about their pitching staff because that's something that whenever they get to the playoffs, they always rely on that, and I don't think they can.
What do you think of the Minnesota Twins? Do you think that offense can get enough hits?
I don't.
October, or
I
just right
don't.
now?
I mean, they can't play in October anyway.
I was about to say,
That's their problem. Like they even if they get there, I don't think they'll ever be able to win a series right now, given the way that they're set up and their history of troubles when it comes to that game. But I will say, I'll go on record saying this: the Royals may not win the division, but I think they make it the farthest in the postseason at anyone in this division, strictly because they have a much more concise roster. You can trust a starting pitcher. You can't trust a starting pitcher right now for the Guardians. I don't think the Twins can get enough hits. I think the Royals, with their offense and with the pitchers that they have, I think you trust a Seth Lugo, you trust Cole Reagans, you trust like those are guys that you can give the ball to and say, hey, go win me a game. And I think they can. And they have a superstar. Is Stephen Kwan a superstar? Jose Ramirez is, I mean, he's one of the most underrated players in baseball. But I think Bobby Witt's a game changer in terms of all three of these teams. And no one has a player like Bobby Witt. And no one has a leader like Salvador Perez, who has been in that stage.
Great.
This is a very similar team to 2015, where they have a like underdog mentality. No one expects them. And that 2014 came out of nowhere. And they made it to the World Series. They lost, but they made it back the following year and won. So I think this is something that the Royals can really, really do this year. I would not be surprised if they are in a championship series.
That's one of your best takes. That's definitely. I'm gonna have to clip that and put that on the socials. But no, you said it, game changer. They have a game changer of Bobby Witt Jr. So I'm definitely eager to see how this ends. What do you think about the Tigers? Tigers are only I believe 6 games out of the wild card. They've been playing hot lately, or do you think this is just a hot run in August?
They do this every year with Hinch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to blame the manager because that team is horrid. Like he hasn't had an offense as he's stepped into that managerial spot. But they did it last year. They give you false hope going into a new year, and you're like, all right, maybe the Tigers can bring it. No, Tigers are going to be the Tigers. They're never going to get above third in the division. They're going to sit there. They're going to twiddle their thumbs. They're going to overpay bad players, and they're not going to win baseball games. So I mean, they called up a couple guys. Jace Young made his debut. You got Colt Keith. They brought Torkelson back up, but I don't think it matters. I don't think that they're going to be playing for anything.